Hello everybody and welcome to our panel discussion today focusing on the challenges of being women entrepreneurs. My name is Susan HayesCulleton and I'm delighted to be here at TU Dublin to facilitate this conversation with two fantastic women entrepreneurs that I'm going to introduce you to later on. In preparation for this conversation, I had to think about the challenges that I faced as a woman entrepreneur. And you know what? I actually thought about, well, what about the challenges that women previous to me, generations hence, faced? And how do those challenges turn into opportunities? So first and foremost, I think it's important to recognize that years ago, women would not have had the opportunities that we had today, or that we have today, and that was their challenge. And by standing on their shoulders, we are turning that around. So today there are women-specific initiatives like networks, like funding opportunities, and a range of others that we can now apply for specifically that are dedicated towards facing the challenges that we're going to talk about later on. So I think it's just good to start off by giving a shout out to our historic sisters who've made that possible. The second thing is, I personally have had a number of opportunities that have been guided towards me, where traditionally men might have taken up that role, and instead women like me have been offered them along the way. There are indeed times when I've been asked to contribute to panels, or whether I've been asked to write a book, or whether it was to take a position on a show on TV or on radio, etc., where, to be fair, the producers, etc., might have said to me, Susan, we do need a woman here. And we're not just asking you because of that, but we really want to hear women voices in these conversations. So I think that it's incumbent on us all, and in fairness to our two speakers later on today, they've taken up that challenge, is that when we're invited to participate and to make our voice heard, is that sometimes it can be daunting, sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I think we do owe it to ourselves and to each other to make sure and put our hands up and take those opportunities. And then the third thing is, many of the things that women are really good at, whether it's networking, whether it's building communities, supporting each other, having empathy, as well as being able to do many things simultaneously. I won't say at the same time, but simultaneously we can do an awful lot of things on the go. They all feed in as well to the opportunities that we specifically have as women. So let's take all of that into consideration when we think about the challenges that we face. And in essence, what I want to do here is paint a picture by saying yesterday's challenges have been built on so that we have the opportunities that we have today. Now, you may wonder, well, why do women have specific challenges? And can I just put my finger on it? And that is because, according to McKinsey, women do 75% of the unpaid work in the world. That is often where the issue lies. Now, what's the answer to that? Is it that we do less and that we share more? Is it that we take pressure off ourselves and delegate that burden around? Or is it that we need to just make sure that what we do tailors us and the way in which we do things so that we can be successful in our own and on our own terms? To bring up these conversations and to face many more of the challenges and, of course, the solutions to them, you are going to meet two fantastic women in a little while. The first person that I'm going to introduce you to is Phuong Vu, and she is from BeeInstant, and she's going to tell you all about her and her story, about how she has been through accelerators, how she came to Ireland and started a business, what her experience has been of accessing finance, what has been specifically challenging about being a woman, and indeed, how she has overcome it. So on that note, I'm going to hand you over now to Phuong. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Susan. Hello, everyone. It's my great pleasure to be here today, and thank you for inviting me to the WE Support Panels. My name's Phuong. I'm the co-founder of BeeInstant. Originally, I'm from Vietnam, and I moved to Ireland 8 years ago. Before coming to these lovely countries, I live and work in Sweden and Denmark, and work a short while in Berlin, in Germany. And my journey started in 2017 when me and my co-founders had a business idea, and we think it is the right time to start. We have always wanted to start something for our own business, and we tried different ideas before, but it didn't work out until 2017, and we think this is the most potential one, and we applied for New Frontier in TU Dublin, and we won it. It was like we were super delighted, and I must say that looking back at our journey, it is the early and most important milestone for us, because that's the time that we see somebody believe in us, believe in what we do, and we quit our full-time job, well-paid full-time job, and invest all of our time and money in the company BeeInstant. And after joining New Frontiers, we met brilliant other brilliant companies, and being in a network of entrepreneurs in Ireland. And after a few months, we won the place in competitive startup funding for female entrepreneur of Enterprise Ireland, which is really great honor. And we were part of a bigger network of female entrepreneurs during that time. In that year, we also went to the Web Summit in Portugal and participated in the Dublin Business Innovation Center accelerator. Moving to next year, the second year of our journey with BeeInstant. In the second year, we mainly focus on growing the business, and also participating in Google Adopt Startup Accelerator, and also the Going for Growth program, which is only for female entrepreneurs. I must say that it's really an experience, and I met several great female mentors, which was really a great support for our business, and opened a bigger network as well. In late 2018, we raised the next funding round, and we got investment from Techstars in Germany. Techstars is one of the leading startup accelerator in the world, and we joined the Berlin program. And I must say that the program it's great for entrepreneurs, and I would highly recommend any Irish tech startup company to apply for it, and to open the network and go globally. After that, a year at the end of 2019, BeeInstant was acquired by Instana, a company of IBM. In my journey, I learned so much from the accelerators, and I kind of imagined how our business would be if I didn't attend these different training programs during our time. Like New Frontier is the very first start, and New Frontier provided us a very well-structured and provided us a very fundamentals knowledge and necessary step to start a business in a professional way. So New Frontier trained us in terms of doing the business plan, finance, raising fund, doing marketing, business development. So it's like basically everything you need to grow your business. And New Frontier also guide us to different funding options to the next stage, like CSF or Dublin Big or angel investors. So we feel like investor ready after graduating from New Frontiers. We got into the competitive startup. We won the competitive startup funding from Enterprise Ireland. By winning the CSF, we got a place in Dublin Big Accelerator, the Innovate program for female entrepreneur. And for us, it's like the next stage of growth of the company, and also the training, the knowledge that we need to have. So in there, we got in the program, we have our mentors, which is she's female and she's so good. During the Dublin Big Innovate programs, we got the training to talk with VC, like venture capitals, and going global, like have a more like global mindset, and how to grow the business and doing marketing in a more global way and scalable way. Techstars is another third milestone in our journey. I must say that Techstars, back then, like 3 years ago, we didn't know much about Techstars because it didn't have a presence in Ireland. back then. They invited us to apply for the program. It is 3 months of training intensively in Berlin for us. I must say that we really valued the experience during that time. First, because we can access the global market. They have a really global network of mentors in different sectors and different industries. Like the mentors, we met like 88 mentors in 3 weeks. And they are from VC, from the high level of management in tech company in Europe and the US. And they also have the mentors for mental health for entrepreneurs. So we can share the challenges or the difficulties during our journey. And they are like kind of psychologists, I would say, like to help us go through the difficult times and down times. Because we have a lot of hiccups along the way, but they help us. From textile time, we widen our network greatly, and we grow the business, and also it helps a lot in our M&A journey. So we have interest in our company, in acquiring a company, and we reach out to a network in textiles and ask the mentors to introduce another like potential buyers, and also the mentors also advise us along the way for the acquisition period. We take like 10 months and a lot of knowledge to be learned. So the exciting news is that Textile will open their first accelerator in Dublin next year, very soon. So keep an eye on that. I still want to be back to startup world, and I keep experimenting different ideas for now, and I hope to open something next year. And now I'm being back as a mentor for Techstars and New Frontiers as well. So please reach out to me, if anything I can help, I'm happy to help. Thank you very much.
What a fantastic story, Phuong. Thank you so much indeed for sharing that with us. And there really were many, many milestones along the way, including some things that we don't hear very often in Ireland. And I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit more about your story during our panel discussion. A couple of things that I'd like to comment on is, did you notice how many times that Phuong mentioned an emotion in there? So she said when they were taken onto New Frontiers at the beginning, they were super delighted. Then she was talking about being part of other accelerators, and she said it was really great to hear that people believed in what we did. You see, the thing is that we often talk about entrepreneurship in terms of sales or an accelerator, or we talk about revenue, or we talk about sale, or we'll talk about acquisition, or we'll talk about other things. But actually, what really punctuates our stories are the emotions along the way. And it's okay to feel them, whatever it might be, whether it's dynamism and excitement, whether it's fear and uncertainty and doubt. By the way, they can happen within 5 seconds apart. So just let's acknowledge that for a moment. When we are talking later on about the challenges of being women entrepreneurs, part of the journey, it's simply par for the course, is that it is an emotional roller coaster, and we all go through it. The second thing, though, that really stood out to me about Phuong's story is the importance of those accelerators. And we have lots of them here, right across the country, and particularly, of course, right here at TU Dublin as well. So make sure and check those out, because they're good for a range of things. They're good for holding you accountable. They're good for an intensiveness, just like what Phuong mentioned about doing so much in 3 months. And also in the other accelerators, the situation would have been the same. There's a lot of training, there's access to mentoring, and there's also that low risk testing out of things, whether it's prototyping or testing your pitch when you are putting forward your ideas to investors and so on like that. The third thing that really stood out to me as well about what Phuong said is the importance of mentors, of reaching out to people. What struck me was that she met 88 mentors in 3 weeks. Think about the access to insights and wisdom and avoiding pitfalls, as well as, of course, networks as well. So the thing is that engaging in a community, wherever you are, whether it's a virtual one or whether it's a physical one, whether it's one where you share many characteristics or it's a few, having mentors and using those mentors in such a way where you can get the best out of it, being open-minded to what you can learn from them, as well as understanding the ricochet impact of engaging with more and more people throughout your journey can really have. So on that note, we're now going to turn to our second guest speaker, and her name is Daria Souza, and she's from Kianda Technologies. She too has a fantastic story, and now I'm going to hand it over to her. The stage is yours, Daria.
Thank you so much, Susan. My name is Daria, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kianda Technologies. And I'm delighted to be here today, being part of this conversation. I will start my journey. I will go back a bit. So I grew up in Turkey, and I was admiring my dad, who was an engineer, and I was wondering what a life would be for me in tech. What kind of career could I have in tech? But that was a bit like what you said in the history. So back then, while women in tech is quite common now, but back then it wasn't the case. So I discouraged, and at a young age, I opted to study something else, which was urban planning. And upon completion of this initial degree, I moved from my home country, Turkey, to Portugal to complete my master's degree. There, subsequently, I entered to the workplace and had the opportunity to explore what I could do in tech, which was what I was dreaming since the beginning. But of course, I had obstacles, like many other girls and women who are dreaming to have a career in STEM or any kind of different areas. And at the beginning, it wasn't easy. When I was working as a web designer, web developer, I had a permanent feeling of somehow I didn't belong there. And I was the only woman in meetings. Sometimes, being pitching or talking to people, I was the only woman that was in an event. So now that I understand, what I was feeling was actually imposter syndrome, which we are all talking about it now. It's very common in women in tech. But I think I only realize it now when I look back at it. So in a nutshell, I started my career as a web designer, developer, and IT consultant, and focused on enterprise solutions. Starting from Turkey, then moving to Portugal, then Ireland. I met my husband, Daria Souza, in Portugal while we both were studying. And almost 14 years ago, 2007, we moved to Ireland. And we always had this idea of starting our tech business, both of us having tech background and really having interest in this. We always thought we could start something. But we didn't have good examples. Couple of things we tried didn't work out the way we wanted. So we both spent our careers working, professional time, working different companies as software developers, consultants. And what we have seen, that companies were going through a lot of struggle when it comes to implementing new solutions, new technologies. And we were building over and over similar solutions that required programming skills, and resources were not available. So we knew there had to be a better way to help companies, help people to be able to create solutions, whether they have technical skills or not. That's how the idea of Kianda was born back in mid-2016. Of course, that happened after many sleepless nights. It wasn't an easy decision due to the fact that I was on maternity leave, and we had to both quit our jobs, and we had the fear of failure and lots of concerns of raising your family and all. But we thought it was the right time for us. If we didn't try it back then, it would have been harder for us to try later. So that's how we bit the bullet, and we started the company literally from this living room, mid-2016. Which was a really great decision that we made. So what we provide a no-code business application development platform that allows users, regardless of their programming skills, to create applications, technology they need. And this empowers users and helps companies to reduce time and costs of implementing digital solutions, digital innovation in their businesses. So we started our business this way, and from the living room we moved to an office space in the Link in TU Dublin, and which was a really good decision that we have made. Subsequently, I completed New Frontiers program, which was a really help in terms of, it was a great support for me to improve my professional skills and my knowledge of how to run a business, and learn different aspects that are related to running a business and fundraising And one of the most important things I'd say was the expanding my network, which was really helpful. It was a really good gateway to Ireland's startup ecosystem. So officially, we are in the market since 2017, almost 4 years, and we bootstrapped our business as much as we could. And we received really great support from local enterprise office, Fingal, and Enterprise Ireland. Last year, we became HPSU, and we received a couple of awards along the way, latest being the Best Export Business in National Enterprise Awards 2020. Our vision is to become a global major player in the no-code space, which is a really great place to be. It's a high growth potential that we are seeing recently in the last 12, 18 months in the no-code, low-code platform space. To close, for anyone who is thinking or dreaming to start their own entrepreneurship journey, there are so many advices I can give. Build your network, don't give up, keep trying, and focus on your strengths to gain confidence. Then later on, focus on your weaknesses to improve yourself. As a female entrepreneur, you might face more obstacles than the others. So you have to be strong, you have to be confident, but you don't have to change yourself. But one advice that I would like to give as a main one, you might want to follow someone else's success steps, which is good, which is going to give you a good understanding. But don't forget that they are walking on their own red carpet. So while they're walking on their red carpet, the carpet is actually folding behind them. So you need to create your own red carpet. And the secret is not just following the successful stories, the success stories, but also looking at the failures, learning from the failures, so you don't repeat the same mistakes. This has been really helpful for me and for us, looking back the challenges that people went through. So there are so many unknowns when we start a business. It's full of unknowns. But for us to be able to avoid these mistakes, I think the main thing that we need to think about is creating your own carpet, red carpet, and look at the failures and create your own path without repeating the same mistakes others are doing and trying different ways to get to the success you are dreaming of. Thank you.
I just love that analogy, Daria, of the red carpet. And you're right, we all have to create our own path as we go along. And certainly emulating other people's success or looking towards others for inspiration is very important. But at the end of the day, each of our stories and our journeys are ours to craft and ours alone. 3 things that really stood out to me about what you said. The first thing you mentioned was about the reference to that feeling of imposter syndrome. Now, to those of you listening, let me tell you what that is and how that feels. Imposter syndrome is what's called the fear of being caught out. It's when you think, oh, I'm not sure that I'm able for this, that I'm qualified for this, that I have enough experience for this, etc. I have yet to meet an entrepreneur, whether it's a woman or whether it's a man, who hasn't felt imposter syndrome at some stage. It is par for the course. However, what you need to do is to learn how to feel the fear and do it anyway. And sometimes by simply acknowledging that it's happening and that it happens to other people, as well as Daria mentioned, talking about it to others can really, really help. The second thing I would just want to pick up on as well is the importance of what I have found low code and no code to be in our business. So just so that you're aware of what those terms mean. If I want to build a website, of course, I can use code to do it. Now, not everybody can code, I can't. However, what I find really, really helpful is that if I can describe what I want to do using click and drops and using other different tools like that in order to create a vision of what I have in mind, so that then that low code version can A, be used to convey a vision, B, tested, and then C, used to refine a vision for when that is actually coded across. That whole idea of low code and no code can really, really, really help productivity, and it can dramatically help efficiency when it comes to dealing with people at a high-tech spec level. So just so that you're aware of the nature of what Kianda Technologies does and the impact, of course, of what that growing area can be. The third thing that I want to pick up on is, Derya mentioned about focusing on your strengths. Now, a lot of the time we hear you should really play to your strengths. Now, I have to say, I would go a step further and I would do exactly what Daria is saying. I would really look at figuring out how I could build on my strengths. What you think you're good at is brilliant and you should keep doing it. But think about, how can I be better? You know that phrase, there's very little traffic at the extra mile. Well, the idea there is that when you do go the extra mile for your customers, or when you become the best at what you do, is that there's often very little competition. Well, keep on going. Personally, I'm somebody that surrounds myself with people who are better than me at things that I'm either weak at or I'm just okay at. But what I'm good at, I continue to build and grow all the time, and be hungry to build and grow on those strengths as well. So everyone, like I promised, we have two truly fantastic entrepreneurs. You've heard their stories now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move into a panel discussion with both of them. And we're now just going to consider, what are the challenges facing women entrepreneurs today? So can I first of all go to you, Phuong. How do you feel about that theme of challenges facing women entrepreneurs? Do you feel that there are specific ones facing women? Are there ones that are general to us all? What's your thoughts on the theme, first of all?
Yeah, thanks, Susan. And the first reactions when I hear, like, I was invited to the panel, is that I love it, because this is a chance that I can share my experience and to inspire the other women. And I love it, and because like few years ago when I started my business, to be honest, I didn't know aware of the challenges of being a woman starting a business, because back then, like, the emotions and the passions and the desire to start a business is very big, and so I didn't pay attention much to it. But then along the way, I truly met the challenges, like being overwhelmed, surrounded by like man environment when going out raising fund, for example, or going into the like doing the sales, and also like taking care of the family during my journey. Like, I have 2 kids. I started BeeInstant when my second one is only 5 months, and still remembering feeding them and then doing the applications, and the job of taking care of the family is still there, and you have to do it 24 hours a day, and like the pace of running a startup is quite fast, and you don't have time to stop or relax or have vacations or anything. So yeah, it's like double job at the same time. So I was fortunate that I was fortunate to surround in the female entrepreneur network, so I can share and know that everyone, the other entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, also had the same challenge.
And you know, when you talk about the pace being quite fast, I mean, the term accelerator, the clue is in the name, is that you're taking that pace and accelerating it. Daria, in your case, you actually share a lot of those similarities. For example, you too started your business when your child was 6 months old, and in Phuong's case, your child was 5 months old. So you share an awful lot of those similarities. What's your thought process around the challenges facing women entrepreneurs?
Absolutely, yes. We actually, it was our second child as well. So she was 6 months old when we decided to go on this journey. In my thoughts, like, this theme of discussion is a really important topic for me. What I see, what we all see, women are not equally represented in many parts of our society. Some, high-level management positions, or politics, tech, and more. And entrepreneurship is one of them. So it's a great way that we can talk about these things. It's a great way that some of us can share their journeys to help for future generations. I totally support initiatives like this that bring women together to share, to support, and inspire each other. And we can do more when we come together. Individually, we have power, but as a group, we can make an impact. So we need to empower each other. We need to share our journeys. We need to celebrate our success stories and share knowledge. And we need to come together and ask each other, what do you need? How can I help you? This is all going to work if we work together, in my opinion. And we need to accept the facts, and we need to work harder to get to levels that we would be satisfied to see women and men equally being represented in many different aspects. And one thing I really believe, this all starts with early education. Being, going through a couple of things in my journey, I can say when I was growing up, I didn't see many female heroes on TV. There was no such thing as a sci-fi or a superhero movie that you would see many female roles. The only female superhero I knew was my mom. But now things have changed so much. And my 5-year-old girl is thinking that she can fly because she's watching Wonder Woman. My 9-year-old boy, when he's watching a sci-fi movie where there is, female women are fighting against aliens, he asks me, "Mommy, is this not a woman? Is this not a woman power? Can man do this as well, right, Mommy?" We were kind of back on those days, I think, thinking that this was only possible by men because we were maybe a bit brainwashed. But I think we have a really great future for new generations coming to follow, see the challenges, and do much better than what we are doing.
And that, in essence, is the whole essence of this panel and indeed the wider series of We Support. Can I just ask you maybe both to share a very specific experience of what it's like to go through New Frontiers with very young children, very busy lives, and that hunger, that passion, all of that energy that needs to go setting up a business? Because there may well be people who are watching us today and wondering, can I do it? Feeling that same sense of imposter syndrome that we referred to earlier. So maybe could I just hear from both of you? What was your experience of going through New Frontiers at the time? Phuong, maybe if you'd like to start.
Yeah, we'd be delighted. I heard of New Frontier during the Leo event back then, like 4 years ago, and it's from Vietnam and not from Ireland. I was a bit nervous of how when I get a chance to get in the program or not, because not from the countries, and just get out them, just having baby. And then one story I forgot to mention before is that I met an angel investor before getting into New Frontiers, and he said to me that, "Do you think you can manage the company while having the 2 young children?" And I said, "Of course, yeah." But he didn't believe in that, and and then I was that fear of getting into New Frontiers, but then we won it, and the team was super delighted and a lot of confidence in doing the programs, and I was. And the program is intensive, but the good side of that is that it accelerates. It pushes you to learn a lot of things in 3 months, in 6 months. In 6 months, and that's necessary in running a startup because you don't have much time, and you have to get to the customers. You have to get get access to funding as fast as possible, and and raising the kids and being New Frontier is stressful. But the good thing is that you learn to prioritize things, and you learn to organize things better. I find that the busier you are, it's like the instinct that you know how to prioritize important tasks first, and then get it done quickly. Sometimes I myself try to aim for perfections and I shouldn't do that. And I learned how to do it, get things done in the most satisfactory way during the New Frontiers, because I cannot do everything in the perfect way.
Well, I think you're doing a pretty good job, Phuong, as you go along. And Daria, could we also hear from you? What was your specific experience of going through New Frontiers at that stage?
When I went through New Frontiers, we actually had launched our product at the same time. So it was November 2018, 17 when I started the program, as well as we launched the product. That meant that we had the third baby as well. So it was quite challenging. We were kind of struggling between the sessions, the mentoring, and what we were doing with the business. But it was a good way because it helped me to validate what we were doing. Was it correct or not? Or were we doing the best practices on, the way we were managing things? So it was a great way for me to validate what we were already doing. In terms of balancing the family life, so we are husband and wife founders. So what we do, we share our tasks. If somebody needs to be, in an urgent meeting or priority one item that needs to be dealt with, we know, we can share and rely on each other. Since the beginning, that's how we did. Of course, we had to focus our attention on kids and the family first, but whatever was left out of it was given to the business to start and to pick up the pace that we wanted to get to.
And and I'm going to ask your permission for this, since we are in a panel where one of you comes from Vietnam, the other one of you comes from Turkey. I've been to both countries and they're beautiful places with even better people. Can I ask you the hard question, really? And that is Ireland a welcoming place for women entrepreneurs? Phuong?
Definitely. Yeah, I would love to say that myself. Otherwise, I live here for 8 years and I will live here for many years more.
We hope so.
Yes, we hope so. Yeah, the great things about Ireland in general is very welcoming and international environment for entrepreneurs and for women. I to be honest, I don't. Because I joined Dublin Big Innovate programs surrounded with other female entrepreneurs and going for growth, which is like a really big network of successful founders and really passionate and really willing to help network. So I'm very I was fortunate to be in that, and I'm sure Ireland is a very welcoming place for female founders.
And can I also go to you on this, Derya, as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I would definitely say Ireland is a welcoming place for people and for women before entrepreneurs. From my experience, I think it feels safe, and I'm happy to be raising my children here. And yes, for female founders, for entrepreneurs, there's a lot of supports available. That doing the New Frontiers program actually opened my eyes to what kind of supports were available. It was a bit of a shock to see so many people trying to help us without expecting anything else, anything back from us. It was like our success is their success as well. It was a really good experience along the way. And overall, absolutely, Ireland is a welcoming place. And people don't try to make your life harder than it is already. So this is my experience compared to other places that I lived. And I suppose that's why we stayed here 14 years and we plan to stay, as well as the good weather, of course.
Well, I'm delighted also to hear that, Derya. We want to hold on to you both as long as we can. I do want to put another hard question to you both because, the topic here, challenges, they are hard. And it's important, just as you've both said, that we talk about them, but also that we give you the platform to share your experience as well. One of the places that we hear most challenge being is access to finance when women, and if I'm to be very specific about it, it is when it comes to raising money, particularly from an equity point of view. So maybe, Phuong, could I ask you, what was your experience of raising money? Because you both raised money and, of course, you also sold your business as well. So maybe could I just ask you about that? What were the specific challenges like there?
First, for raising equity funds, I would say I was like overwhelmed of the VCs, the old men, like this is in the man's world. So mainly I spoke to male investors. So and in some cases they they always they think of course they have experience, and it is in tech industry. So because my background is in business and marketing, so in speaking about tech, or they normally turns to my co-founders. They are men. So it's one thing that it's not like a really big things, but it still calls you a bit of feeling of like minority maybe in some cases. And in selling my company, I would say not really a big challenges for women, because when you come to the stage of building a business that you are confident enough to see that there's a potential in the market and bring great value, and you are confident enough to add value to the acquirer. You can be confident in that. Yeah, so don't worry too much about the challenge.
Well, I suppose the dynamic changes when you're selling a business, because it's the business is being sold at that stage, and the way in which it's run.
And the thing is, when selling the business, being in a stronger position in a way that let people come to you, not like you want to sell the business, but they want to buy you.
They want to buy you.
So in a different positions. So.
And can I also go to you then, Derya, and just to put that point to you, have you been in a situation, whether it's raising money or otherwise, where you felt as a woman you've been in a minority, despite the fact, of course, women are 50% of the population, and how did you deal with that?
Yes, absolutely. I have been many times being the only woman in meetings, panels, when I was pitching male only panels, which I didn't do well. But when I pitched to mixed panels, I did much better, even winning awards and all. So I think this shows a real example of how we can perform differently, how we can feel different when we are in different situations, when we don't see anything that is related to us maybe, or we feel ourselves different. However, I truly believe being different is powerful, and being different can, help us to get even stronger. But sometimes we might feel that, again, we don't belong to that place and we need to do better, and we might feel overwhelmed and perhaps nervous than we should have been. And overall, accessing finance is something not easy for anyone. It's a really tiring journey, try to sell your idea, try to sell your what you can do, what you have done with your business. It's of course not an easy thing to do, but I think it's harder for women because what we do, we usually underestimate our qualities, or we go more realistic when we are talking about numbers and figures. Then men, they exaggerate easier than us. So there are areas I think we need to improve. We need to be more confident and speak up, and don't be too scared of, trying to sell your dream, whatever it is. Just to give you a fact, unfortunately, in the first half of 2021, the funding that was raised for Irish tech companies with female founders was only 6% of the total. So I think there is a big problem that we are facing in this area. And how we can do better is basically supporting, creating these funds available for female funders, and maybe looking at the criteria and limitations that are related to these funding opportunities. And as women ourselves, I think we need to be a bit stronger, a bit more confident on what we are doing, how we are doing, and we can fix this.
And I think that that's something that we really need to discuss as well, was when we say women need to be there for each other, like what do we mean by that? And I love your point. The whole idea of being different can be powerful. And if you can take that and internalize that, that can often eradicate imposter syndrome. But can I ask you that as well, Phuong? You mentioned there you were delighted to be part of this panel. You feel that it's a very important discussion. Mm-hmm. But what is it that women need to do? What do we need to do to truly support each other along the way?
because I receive a lot of helps from other mentors and female mentors. So what I think is we build a community and build a network, both to share, not just sharing, but I would aim myself to help, actually help others, women, like by making introductions to the people or to the people they love to meet or love to talk to. It can be like investors or their potential customers or the person, the woman in the field, in the same field that they would love to talk to. Like so for now I try to I'm the textile mentors at the moment, and I try to help the companies to point to the person that they need to talk to, because I cannot answer all the questions. I just only can answer from my experience and what I know. But for example, I point to one of the company in the cosmetic field, for example, to my peers at Growing for Growth. She's a brilliant founder in cosmetic industry, for example, and in food industry, for example, and also in tech. And I try to introduce what I know to the company that the people that they're looking for. And and I try to actually help them and share my downtime as well. Like, because sometimes I receive the questions like, because sometimes they in the first conversation, for example, they was a bit afraid to share the real emotions or real feelings, because they think that might be like a weakness, their weakness. But then when it's opened up a little bit more, they open a little bit more about their challenges and their difficulties at this point, at the specific point of their journey. And I said that I had the same, and it's quite normal for other founders as well, especially women. So they feel like, that they are not alone. So I find that it's so helpful for them, and to relieve and to relax themselves and to be confident that they are not alone, and to keep, as you say, keep focusing on the strengths and focusing on the priority in their journey, and keep going and don't give up. And that's amazing.
And I think that, in many ways, this type of conversation can be soft and it can be sharing and everything else, but it's, unless we talk about the solutions to this, like you say, is letting people know what may come across as being weak. And I suppose another word for that is being vulnerable. Is saying that,
vulnerable,
it's okay to feel, like I mentioned at the beginning, imposter syndrome. I've felt it countless times, but that's okay. That's okay. And believe me, we all do. But also, as Derya says as well, is making sure that there is money available, and that we understand the criteria for applications is tailored to both women and men. As we're coming to the end of this conversation, I have one other question that I would like to put to you both, because there are lots of people, again, who I say could be watching this and worried about the amount of challenges they will face, because both of you have spoken about the myriad of those that you have faced. But how do you feel about the challenges that you have not yet met? Because you're both in a situation where you are going to face more. You both know that. So how do you feel now that you've been through so much? Is it excitement? Is it uncertainty? Is it fear? Is it a combination? Or is it just an understanding that they're going to happen and you'll cross that bridge when you respectively come to it? Maybe, Derya, this as your final word, what would you say to that?
Perfect. That's a really great question. I'd say whatever we have gone through has made us stronger. And one thing that I learned in the last 2 years, that we have to be agile. We need to adjust to changes that are happening quickly, really quickly. So that's the mindset I think we need to carry. And being open to challenges, never, think that this is going to be so comfortable from now on. No, always go after challenges. And I try to do myself, whatever I'm not good at, I'm trying to improve myself. So this is the mentality. And I know there will be more challenges to come. And fear is there, will always be there. Fear of failure, or fear of, things are not going the way we expect them to go. But perhaps we should focus on smart failures, because there will be mistakes that we might do, but learning from them, and not to be too fearful, but going after them and doing better next time. trying to cross those, get to a point that we can be more successful and confident of what we are doing. But there will be always challenges that we will face. We just need to be prepared for those.
Smart failures, Phuong. I like the idea.
That. Yeah, I love that term.
As your closing words on this as well, what's your thoughts about the challenges to come?
That's good. I love your questions because that exactly talks about my feeling when I about to start my second venture hopefully next year, because both excitement and fear at the same time. Even though I've been through it one time, but because of that I have more fears because I know that will be more challenges, as Daria mentioned. And so what I normally do is I would like to emphasize and focus on the rewards of the journey of being like an entrepreneur yourself, because you gain a lot of confidence after that, and you know that you can do when you are on the journey, when you tackle the challenges, you have more confidence and you have more brave to face others, and the reward is in both mentalities and financially. So and another great things I love in the journey is I met a lot of great people and interesting people and very passionate and very focused and very helpful people as well. And I learned I talk to myself that I like to pay it forward, and I would love to build a community of pay it forward community when people can help each other to be successful. And because for me, successful founders need a lot of determinations, a lot of focus, and a lot of help from others, and luck as well. That's important.
Well, it's interesting when you say you've met a lot of interesting people along the way. I have met two fantastic women today in you both. I really have. And I mean, if there was one key takeaway that I would just really hope that the audience can take, because there are so many that you've both shared, is smart failures and focus on the rewards. Is that putting those two together can really give a person so much resilience to keep on going, as you both say. So on that note, I'm going to say Phuong Vu from BeeInstant, as well as Derya Sousa from Kianda Technologies. Thank you so much indeed for your honesty, for your insights, and for just being two truly lovely people. And we fervently wish you every success in every single way. So from all of us here at the WE Support Panel at TU Dublin, we wish you every success. And indeed, that also goes to you, all of our viewers. Thank you for being here with us. It's been a joy.